Welcome back to the Onesie Piece podcast. My name's Wade. I'm the one in the penguin costume.
I'm Estevan and I'm in the shark costume.
I love One Piece.
I hate anime.
And together we're gonna go on this journey through
Begrudgingly.
all begrudgingly. You love this. You love this. I told you only have to watch the first 50 eps. And then you were like, I'll watch all 900 though.
If I get to spend time with my buddy Wade.
Wow. Means so much to me. How are you on this fine Tuesday afternoon, my friend?
I am delightful, thanks for asking.
Delightful?
Yeah, you know why?
Why?
Because we're wrapping up the Baratie arc today.
We're wrapping up
And you know what that means?
It means Arlong Park.
No. It means we're one step closer to getting this shit done.
You're in this for the long haul, my friend. This ain't gonna be a smooth, a fast ride. I mean, shit. These are the small arcs, and it's taken us 2 eps to get through them.
I know, right?
What are you gonna do when we hit There's arcs that are 100 episodes, double the length of all of this.
That's a season. That's more than a season. That's an entire encompassing show.
It's literally double, triple the amount that we're at right now for one arc. It's taken us 6 episodes to get to this point. That means by that definition, it'll take us 12 episodes to get through one of those arcs. So, this is the perfect segue. Because with that in mind, we've been dragging our feet a little bit. Alright? I've been seeing what we're doing. I like it. I like it a lot. But I gotta speed it up. I gotta get it going. I gotta get going fast. We gotta move. All right, we're gonna get through the rest of the Baratie arc today, which is not. There's no other way. We're not getting through it, right?
Okay.
And I said it last time, and I failed miserably, but this time I mean it. I have a plan, and we are gonna cruise through this Baratie arc as quickly as we can. And I'm gonna tell you. What?
Is it a plan beyond Krieg 1, 2, and 3 and post-Krieg and whatever?
It's
whatever your plan was?
Slightly evolved version of that.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Let me give you the rundown of how this is going to go.
Please.
Because we can get lost in the weeds. Hello, Tiff Mander in the chat. We can get lost in the weeds, right? Something I've noticed. It's easy to do.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So, to try and avoid that, what I'm going to do is I have a section. The first section, we talked about it last time, that I'm going to be going over is the Zoro's backstory. Right?
Really quick.
Yes.
Before we abandon the weeds, one last weed to pick is...
I mean, there'll be plenty of weeds, but yes, go on.
For those who were with us last week, you'll know that for... Wade's birthday, I sent him a Usopp statue, and a Nami statue.
That is true.
Well, guess what I found hidden in my apartment? Literally moments before we started the cameras.
The timing was impeccable. There she is.
I got my little Nami.
Got your waifu.
Yep, look at that. And, TOS, right? Gotta keep that.
TOS, terms of service?
Yeah, are we gonna get...
Oh, she's clothed.
Barely. But yeah, I asked Wade if there's ever gonna be a thick Nami arc. And apparently there is, and there's plenty of thickness to come in the future for our feminine friend.
I did spoil that there's some thick coming up.
How long is that arc? Because I might not mind that.
It's a lot of arcs.
All right, that was the last weed.
But it takes a bit to get there. Plan? So you got to work for it a little bit, but we will arrive in the promised land, my friend. Sorry, I'm getting confused by the crumbs. I got crumbs, just a little bit of crumbs. What was I saying? See, now you put us in the plans. I got the plan.
You got a plan.
I'm the man with the plan. All right. So, First one, we're going to be going over Zoro's backstory, right? I'm going to do a quick rundown of that entire section, so the entire backstory. I'm going to tell it in my way as quickly as I can, and then we will go back and we will dig in a little bit further. We'll go back. So I'm going to give a rough outline for all the viewers so that they know what we're going over in this phase, and if you've never seen the show, hopefully that'll help you kind of understand what we're talking about. And then we're going to go back and we're going to dig in. That's when we'll get into the weeds a little bit, but hopefully we can keep it on track a little bit more and not kind of dig into each panel. I notice that's what we're doing. We're like really digging into each panel.
Yeah, I understand. I've noticed that too.
Cool. I like it. We're going. I'm going to bring the energy as much as I can. So
love it.
Last time, we talked about all the faces. We got pre-Krieg. We got... Krieg. I'm going to start calling him Krieg. Pre-Krieg. Krieg. No Krieg. Krieg 2. Past Krieg. Krieg 3. And post-Krieg. Because I don't know why. That's just what I named him on the template. But we also added Zoro's backstory. So...
yes.
We're 8 minutes in. That's pretty good time.
Yeah.
Let's jump in to Zoro's backstory.
Please, I've been waiting for this.
And Tiff, I know you're here in chat, so this one's for you. Here's what happens in Zoro's backstory. So Zoro, our main swordsman on the pirate crew, right?
Mm-hmm.
Goes to his backstory. He's a tiny little child, probably like 10 years old, right? And he's a whiny little baby. He's a whiny little baby all day long. He keeps losing to this girl who's a better swordsman than him. They're in their swordsman dojo, right? And she beats him 2,000 times in a row. Zoro can't stand it. Zoro's being a whiny little baby about it. He just cannot beat her. He goes to the sensei, Kuina, I think that's I don't know how to say her name. Kuna?
The sensei?
No, the girl that keeps beating him. Kuina. I'm going to say Kuina. Even though I'm probably making a fool of myself.
Sure, why not?
She is the sensei's daughter. And Zoro's like, yo, sensei, what up? What are you teaching her that you ain't teaching the rest of us? And the sensei's like, I ain't doing that. I'm teaching you all the same things. She's just real powerful. But don't worry, she's a girl. So you're going to beat her eventually. And so then Zoro's like, I'm going to beat her right now. So he goes and gets 2 swords. And he says, we're going to fight with real swords this time, Kuina. And she says, okay. And then she beats the crap out of him and stabs next to his head and says, I would have killed you if this was a real sword fight. And I just beat you 2,001 times. Zoro's like, why can't I beat you? He gets all cryy. He remains a whiny little baby. Kuina gets a little heart to heart. She says, don't worry. My father says that women can't become swordsmasters, and that eventually you're just going to surpass me anyway because you're a man, and you're going to get that testosterone in your veins. You're going to get stronger than me, and I'm not going to stand a chance. And Zoro looks at her, and he says, you shut up. That's not true. He says, you need to follow your dreams. You want to be the greatest swordsman in the world, and I want to be the greatest swordsman in the world. So why don't we become the 2 greatest swordsmen in the world? We will fight, and then we will see who became the greatest swordsman. So their goal is to become the 2 greatest swordsmen in the world, then fight to see who is the greatest. And she says, that's a deal. Well, long story short, she falls downstairs the very next day and dies. Zoro's pretty distraught about it. Humans are fragile people. That's what we learn here. He takes her sword. Well, he doesn't take it. The sensei gives him the sword. And that is when he evolves from the 2-sword style to the 3-sword style. Because her sword is now the one that, I don't know, goes in his mouth probably because he had his hands. So there you go. So that's how Zoro got his 3-sword style. That's what happened in Zoro's backstory. That's how Kuina died. She fell down fucking stairs. So yeah, it's a quick rundown. And
then flashback to the current times where
then we flash back to the current times when he's. Well, it happens differently. In the manga, it was all the way back in like when you found Zoro.
Right.
In the anime, I guess it happened like at the beginning of this arc or something.
Towards the beginning, yeah.
In our story, it happens as he's about to fight Hawk. In the best the story we decided was the best.
Yes, exactly.
He's carrying her dream with her, says Digman, our resident One Piece expert in the chat. Ginzo, I'm not a weeb either. I'm a little weeb. He's not
You're
a weeb.
a little weeby.
He's not a weeb.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be one by the end of this.
No.
Weebville, here we come.
Not a chance. Anyway, so is this the part where like I start going through my thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, so I usually write down questions. I didn't write any down for I just kind of wanted, because it was a pretty short backstory, really. I think it was one episode in the anime. It was like, it wasn't even like a full chapter in the manga. It was really short. It was like six.
Well, I don't have too many thoughts on. I think it's like a pretty good episode all around. Because like up until this episode, Zoro's had this air of mystery about him. You know, we don't really know his past. All we know is that he's like a really good swordsman, and he wants to be the best swordsman. That's like all we know. We don't know why. Yep. But a couple of thoughts. When he's Kid Zoro. He reminds me of that one kid from My Hero, the main guy who's always screaming and yelling and crying. Because Kid Zoro is literally like nonstop at like 11, just screaming and crying at the top of his lungs.
Deku,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it gave me Kobe flashbacks.
It gave
this kid's gonna burst a blood vessel in his brain.
Here he is, right here, screaming about how he's gonna sail the seas and become the world's greatest swordsman.
There is not a moment where he's not at that level.
It's true. Here he is again. He's at the beginning. He was yelling. Here he's yelling. This is the moment when he gets pretty quick. It's one panel and
yeah.
But see, he's telling her to follow her dreams, though.
A second thought of mine is more of like a complaint on the trope of animes tending to like needing to quantify things. So you see it with like Dragon Ball Z and power levels. You see it with this. It's like when they're first initially fighting Kanya or whatever and Zoro. Kaya? What is it?
Kuina?
Kuina.
Dig, how do you say your name? We're gonna call her Kuina for now.
I'm gonna call her Kuina. When Kuina and Zoro first fight, he already is using the two swords. They fight, Kuina beats him, and she's like, "You still have 10 years ahead of you before you can use two sword style." And like, how do you know that? Like, what's the significance of the 10 years? That's another example. Is like when they were counting the wins and they were at like 2,000 wins, 0 losses. It's like you really kept count this much? Like, that seems pretty arbitrary. And we'll see it again later in the arc, and I'll be sure to point it out to you when Pearl Man comes about because he relies pretty heavily on it too.
He'll be around for sure.
As I've talked about before with like the last arc, I really like it when the show kind of tackles pretty like prevalent social issues. So like with the last one, it was classism and all that. With this one, they're like touching on sexism and this sexism culture where like she can't inherit the dojo, she cannot be the greatest swordsman in the world, but all of this like bad mojo is coming from her dad. Yeah. Like Zoro gives no shits. Like I see you only as a rival, and like all that that's bad energy. Like I'm not even gonna pay it second thought. Like even when she comes out and says it, like you're gonna surpass me soon. I'll never be the greatest swordsman. He's just like, shut up. Like
pretty much.
We're gonna keep fighting until I beat you. And it's not gonna be because I'm a man. It's gonna be because I'm the greatest swordsman.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. I thought that was like a cool like opportunity that the show took to tackle like a real issue as opposed to just some, anime. Um, uh, I have a note here that says something about a sharpening stone leading to death. Man, I wish it'd been not a week since I last watched it, because I remember this being like an actual clever thought. Like it was like an alternative on how she died. Like, oh, she tripped down some stairs and died. That's really stupid. Like, like what a unsatisfying like moment for this otherwise great episode.
I think, yeah, I agree. It really catches you off guard. You think it must be a joke, and then you see her like dead body laying there.
On my note it says sharpening stone. So I'm wondering if there's a moment in the show where like she's sharpening her sword, and if like perhaps like during the act of sharpening her sword, maybe she, I don't know, cut her jugular or something. I don't know. But something related to that art of being a swordsman resulting in her death. I don't know. I forget what my idea was. I should have wrote it down better. But I just like it's just an overall complaint on like the way she died. It's pretty, I don't know, uncreative.
I think that's kind of the point. I think the
Okay.
point is to show the fragility of humans as a whole. Even though you're swordsman, even though you're super strong, she just fell downstairs and died. I think the point was, I don't know. It's a really short.
Yeah.
They don't give you much, but I
would agree with you, but like that's not really the theme of the episode.
It's not really the theme of One Piece.
Exactly.
They're far from fragile. They take hits, and like Zoro's gotten stabbed so many times when he probably should have died, but they're kind of like superhuman.
Yeah.
So it is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, humans are fragile things. I don't know. I think it was solely there to throw you off. I mean,
her death in and of itself would have been enough to throw you off. Like nobody expects that.
Nobody expects somebody to just fall down the stairs. I guess maybe it's supposed to be ironic because she was so strong, but she died in such a like.
I guess I don't know. What if Zoro like stole her sword to practice that night after she went home, and on her way home she got jumped and didn't have a means to defend herself and died. She was murdered.
I
don't know. Just spitballing.
Yeah, I mean we're theory crafting at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just wish her death had more like a more meaningful like impact on the narrative.
I do think the point I think the point he was trying to go for was that her death wasn't something she could prevent. I mean, I guess she could not fall down the stairs, but like if she got like jumped,
she was holding too many books.
If she got like jumped, like she could have prevented it by being stronger or something like that. I think it was just supposed to be like sometimes people just die.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it, and that's why it happened so quickly and why it was so out of the blue. But beyond that, I don't know. It had a pretty profound impact on Zoro regardless. He carries his dream with her.
He does.
Yeah. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah. One last note. I like that we have like this unique character now. Like it's something that we haven't really seen in this show so far, is a character who has a drive that goes beyond, like, oh, I want this. I want to be the best. I want to be at top. Now he has like this drive behind him. Like I'm carrying this dream, not only for myself, but for my, my friend, my rival that is not around to carry it herself.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it definitely adds to his character in a way that other characters we haven't seen anything like that yet.
Exactly.
For sure. So, all right, cool.
All right,
I gotta do this again. That was that was the short one.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Okay.
All right. Fly through the rest of Baratie arc, and then we'll take it episode by episode.
Well, we're going
Or
through
what
in
are
the
you thinking?
phases. So we are now on to Krieg 2.
Okay. Krieg 2.
So, Krieg 2. You want to know what happens in Krieg 2, everybody? We're back.
Yeah.
This is immediately after Zoro and Mihawk had their fight. Zoro lost, set off sail with Usopp to chase after Nami. Right? So
Yep.
where I left is pretty much just Luffy and Sanji, as well as the cooks from the boat, are all here fighting Krieg and his army of pirates. Crew of pirates. I guess this is kind of an army. He had 1,000 at one point, but he doesn't anymore, so it doesn't matter. All right, so. Oh, God. Okay. Let's go over. Now I'm having trouble even remembering what the hell happens. Okay. Krieg comes up with this cunning plan, right? He comes up with a cunning plan. He says, we're not going to destroy the restaurant ship. We're going to take it. We're just going to take the restaurant ship, and then we're going to sail it around, and we're going to go up to boats, and they're going to think we're a restaurant, and then we'll jump them, and we'll take all their shit, and we'll kill them, and then we'll get back in the restaurant, and I guess we'll go do it again. I guess that's his plan, right? Yeah. And so, while that plan is going on, lo and behold, who should show up but a man covered in shields? Yes, he has a shield on his chest, on his back, on his elbows, on his wrists, and he is called the Invincible Pearl. And he is a man who has never lost and never bled. He's never lost a battle, and he's never bled, and he's very cocky about that.
He's never lost any of his 61 battles.
61
specifically.
Battles specifically. Thank you, because I actually did not have that noted. So 61 battles, he's never lost, and he's never bled. And so, Sanji doesn't give a fuck, because Pearl just started beating the crap out of his cooks. And so Sanji starts beating the crap out of his crew, and then him and Invincible Pearl get into this tussle. Right? The shield man, Sanji starts kicking him. They start beating the crap out of each other. Well, Sanji gets a good kick to the face. A nice solid kick to the face, which gives Pearl a nosebleed. Now, he's a man who's never bled before. So, his pirate crew, Krieg's pirate crew, start freaking out. They're like, oh my God, Pearl's bleeding. Pearl, calm down. And he starts freaking out. And what does that man do? He lights himself on fire. Not in a suicidal way. It's like a cool way. It's like he's fine.
A cool way.
He's perfectly fine. He's a man covered in shields who has lit himself on fire, and then he makes a wall of fire around him, and Sanji says, I don't give a fuck about that wall of fire. Kicks through the wall of fire. He says, I'm a cook. If you're afraid of the fire, stay out of the kitchen, or something like that, along those lines. Krieg says, this is getting a little iffy, so I'm going to send a spiky ball at Sanji. So Krieg, off on the sidelines there, fires a spiky ball at Sanji. And Luffy says, oh, no. This is a one-on-one fight over here, my guy. I ain't letting you interfere. And he gomu no spiky balls that shit right back at him. All right? Sanji beats the crap out of Pearl, essentially. He wins this fight as well. And then Jin, who is, in case you forgot who Jin was, he's the second-hand man to Krieg. He's his first mate. Sanji fed him when he was starving to death, when nobody else would feed him on the ship. And so he is very grateful to Sanji. But now, Jin comes out, he kicks Red Boots, what's his name? The old man with the big hat. Zeph. Yes. He kicks him in his peg leg. He falls to the ground, and then he holds a gun to his head, and he says, Sanji, I'm gonna kill him. And Sanji says, don't you dare. You point that gun at me instead. Well, Pearl's not actually dead. Red leg Zeph, that's the one. Pearl's not actually dead. Pearl stands up and smashes Sanji's face. Smashes his head, just right in, like a freaking pancake. Right?
Yep.
Which is where this ends. We then go into Sanji flashback, which is the next phase.
Yes.
And now you're all caught up with Krieg 2.
Oh, okay. That's Krieg 2.
That's Krieg 2. So I do actually have some questions.
Go for
I have
it.
some questions for this
Please.
one. What do you think of Krieg's cunning plan to simply steal the boat and pretend like they're chefs so that they can raid other ships and people wouldn't be any the wiser?
I mean, yeah. I mean, for a fantasy story, by all means, go for it. Uh, like, I feel like if I were just like a sailor on the open waters and I saw a restaurant ship,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, oh, that's neat.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, 10 minutes later, I saw, oh, that restaurant ship's heading right towards me.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. Then, like,
They're
10
gonna
minutes
give you
later, it's
food.
like, that restaurant ship is pointing its cannons at me, and everyone's armed with their cutlasses out.
Well, I don't think it has cannons. It's a restaurant.
Probably not. Yeah. I mean, it's a fine plan.
I think
Like,
it's a
I'm not-
stupid plan. I think it's the worst plan ever. I think it was a cop out so that they didn't just so that the people reading weren't just like, why doesn't he just destroy the ship? They were like, well, we gotta give him a reason. It's a stupid plan. Immediately.
Well, I mean, he needed the ship anyway. His is destroyed.
Well, he did need a ship. If he wanted that ship just so that he could go get another ship, I think that's a lot better reason than being like, we're gonna pillage. I guess they could.
Or better yet, just like don't even go into detail. Like, my ship's destroyed. I'm taking yours.
You're right. I agree.
End it there. Go move forward with the narrative.
Yeah, I thought it was a stupid plan. I didn't think
Yeah.
it would work. Immediately, you'd raid a couple ships and they would realize we're
Yo,
gonna get
there's a
out
restaurant
that the
out there
restaurant
stealing
ship
my
is
shit.
filled with pirates and it's killing people. Okay. So we got that. What are your thoughts on the Invincible Pearl?
He is one of the most dumb characters to show up so far. I hate the way he just waddles in from the sea out of nowhere.
He does too. It's like out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like, all this shit's been going down. Like, the ship that he presumably came on has been sliced in half. There's been, like, fighting and explosions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until someone calls him that he literally just, like, doggy paddles, like, up onto the raft.
I don't remember how it happens in the manga.
How did he swim in what is effectively just what I can only assume be 2 tons of iron?
I have no idea. You don't need to worry about that.
He looks like he's 2 tons himself. His head is a pea. If you were to take a pea and put it like on a toothpick and stick it onto a pumpkin, that's his physique.
Yeah, he has a very tiny head, as the viewers here can see, and it's like his shoulders are like above the top of his head.
He's hunchback.
Yeah, he's like super hunchback, exactly.
He makes me angry looking at him. I hate him that much.
I love Pearl.
I know you do.
I don't. I don't like this guy either, and I'll tell you why. The biggest reason is because of what you said. He comes out of nowhere. So you have like this arc with like Jin and Krieg, and it's kind of building up, and it's showing his crew a little bit. At no point is Pearl ever even mentioned. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, second in command, you'd think he would be around a little. It reminded me of the cat pirates that were sleeping in the ship.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It was like that you just needed a guy for Sanji to fight.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't. Because when we get into the next piece, he fights Jin. Why did they need Pearl at all? To show that Sanji wasn't afraid of fire? That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and that's already, like, stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to explain that? And speaking of explaining things, Pearl just waddles up, stands up, and then proceeds to explain everything about himself, which is a trope that I will consistently harp on because I think it's ridiculous. He gets up onto the ship, and he's like, I am the Invincible Pearl. I have won all 61 of my battles. I have never bled. I am covered in shields, as you can see.
I'm covered in shields.
I hate him. And then he just, after he gets a nosebleed, he just bursts into flames.
Yeah.
Like you said, not for And in the show, I don't know about in the book, but in the show, there's zero explanation. Everyone's just everyone sees him bleed and then starts freaking out, and they're telling him to calm
Yep.
down, and then he just bursts into flames, and we're just meant to accept that.
Well,
If there's ever,
he does
if
this.
there's ever,
He does this. It's like a fire starter.
all I'm saying, if there's ever a time to explain something, I want this explained. How is he able to just burst into flames like that?
I mean, he's got to have like the shield flame fruit or something, right?
No, because he swam up to the boat.
You're totally right, dude. You're so right. He's just a guy who can
This
just
is the
do
one
that.
thing I've ever wanted explained, and they don't.
Yeah, I don't know why you want it to be explained so badly.
Because it's so dumb. He's human. He can't light himself on fire.
Yeah.
He'll die.
He very much looks like he should be dead. He looks like he's bursting into flames right there.
He's cooking himself. He's surrounded by iron. He's put himself into an oven and then lit the oven on fire.
Maybe his soul just burns so hot he can't be burned by flame.
Shut up. No, there's no explanation because it's dumb.
Hey man, I'm just saying, his soul might burn so hot that, fire burns hot, but his heart, his soul burns hot.
Not as hot as Pearl.
Yeah, I don't know. So, that's fine. There's the spiky ball. We're just going through some of these panels here. big old spiky ball. Here's where we end up. Jin pointing a pistol at Red Leg Zeph. Jin, your pistol, aim it at me. I want to complain about this panel. This whole next area, not the backstory, but after that, I'm gonna get into some complaints about Luffy of all people.
Oh
About
boy, I'm excited.
because Luffy was so out of character in this arc. Luffy makes I hated this arc.
I actually made a note later in the arcs, like, oh, this decision is dumb, or no, it's actually I agree with what Luffy's doing right now, but it's out of character for him.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like some of the things he was doing were like
Growing.
like logically I do agree with him, but I feel like that's not Luffy at all.
Yeah.
Like it was this, and this is one of them. He tells Jin to aim the pistol at him, and Luffy's response is, "Are you crazy? You'll be killed." This entire time,
Yes.
Luffy has been like fearless, not afraid of death. At one point, Kobe had a gun pointed at him, and Luffy didn't give two shits.
Yeah, this is actually the point I was talking about.
Yeah.
He in the show he says, "You'll die for a restaurant? Are you stupid or something?"
Yeah, and that's after the backstory. So we're gonna get into that because I'm gonna complain about that too. When it's already when we at this point we already know the restaurant is Sanji's treasure. We had a whole arc talking about what people would do for their treasure, the buggy arc, like the hat and all. We went over that. If you want to get to that, go back to our episode 2. You'll hear all about your treasure and how important treasure is to Luffy. He knows at this point that the restaurant is Sanji's treasure, or a part of it at least. And so it's so out of character for him to say that. It makes no sense. It made me mad. It legit made me mad, and I hated it. Because I've been sitting here defending Luffy time and time again, and then this shit gets pulled, and I'm like, this ain't it.
If anything, this just goes to show that there's no rhyme or reason to how Luffy's written.
No,
he's just a bad character.
This is a bad arc for Luffy. All right, rereading it, maybe I'll prove myself wrong here, but every arc up until now, I have defended Luffy because I see what he's doing compared to the character that I know in episode 900, whatever. Like throughout the whole thing, like it feels like Luffy. This isn't. I don't know what this is. This is some weird off-brand. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
This is what I feel like every episode so far.
Yeah, that's fair. So, Luffy lovers, this arc sucks for Luffy. And there he goes, Sanji, like, really getting smashed.
Yeah.
I assume, I don't know how gruesome it was in the anime. I assume not as, but like Smash.
I mean,
like this is what
that's
we're talking
what
about, though. We
happens,
just
yeah.
talked about how Zoro's whole thing was about humans being fragile, and then this happens, and Sanji's fine.
Yeah, yeah. In the show, this actually happens twice. Like he does this, and then he hits him again, or something.
It might happen twice here. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but
Like he hits him, that triggers like the flashback, and then the flashback happens. Cut back to this, and he gets hit again.
wow. Oh, he does.
Yeah.
I don't know, but regardless, like, there's some clashing there for sure. It's like on one hand, he wants them to be kind of superhuman and show that they can survive things normal people couldn't, and on the other hand, he has Kuina falling down stairs and dying.
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know. We'll just say she was a child. She.
Yeah, surely if she was an adult, she would also be able to survive this.
Exactly. So, with that in mind, there's a couple things I want to go over. I got a couple Oda panels that I've been loving. These Oda panels. A lot of it's nonsense. So this one in particular, I just found super interesting because in the latest arc, and this isn't a spoiler because this dude's like pretty much a non-character, but this guy down here with the nails in his nose, this weird ass character, you see him? Can you tell what he is from where you're at?
Yeah.
He's like a carpenter with like nails in his nose and a hammer. He shows up. He is like he's certainly not a main character, but he is around enough for me to remember like who's this stupid guy with the nails in his nose.
Is he like another Panda Man?
No, he's not. He's like I don't think he ever shows up until the most recent arc. So this was like 20 years ago. Oda had this guy drawn as a character.
Interesting.
And he didn't show up in the anime until like episode 950 or whatever. It's like,
That's
what?
Pretty interesting.
I thought so too. I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Maybe he shows up at different points and I'm just not remembering, but it kind of blew my mind a little bit. And then this one I meant to bring up last time at the end of the Mihawk and Zoro. This one I love. You remember when we were talking about let me see if I can even find it here. In Serp Village, episode 4, maybe? I don't want to waste too much time because I didn't organize them as well as I probably should have. There was a point where Kuro had a backstory, a little bit. Here it is. Okay, so basically what he does is he fakes his own death by fighting a bunch of Marines, and I forget the specifics, but he fights a whole bunch of Marines, and then he steps on this dude's face and says, "You're gonna tell him I died," or whatever. Right?
Okay, yeah.
And he can claim, and then he says, "You can claim the reward for me. Just say that I'm dead." And I said, when we were going through this, that I thought this dude looked a whole fucking lot like Axar Morgan, who had the iron thing on his jaw.
Axe arm.
Yeah, a weird axe arm and an axe on his arm. And lo and behold, in this Oda panel, here it is. In Chapter 37, was the sailor who captured the fake hero of the Thousand Plans, Captain Axar Morgan. My friend and I think he looks like him. It is Morgan. He was a sergeant then, but after the incident, he was promoted to lieutenant commander. Then he muscled his way up to captain and was given command of the Navy base. I suspect that when Kuro looked deep into Morgan's eyes, he probably sensed a kindred spirit of some kind. I don't know why that last line needed to exist, but I was like, I called it. I was so happy because I thought that was something that would never get. I don't know. I was so excited when I read that. I was like, holy shit.
Tickle me impressed. I like that detail.
I know. It's a good little detail, right?
Yeah.
All right. With that, Krieg 2 has come to an end, and now we are into past Krieg.
Past Krieg.
Because he presumably was also younger. It's actually Sanji's backstory. But for whatever reason, I wanted to have Krieg in all the titles when I was writing it. Yeah, you gotta have fun. You gotta have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, all right. Same deal as the Zoro thing. You shoot through it, then we talk about it.
If that works for you,
Yep.
we'll go through it. It's a long one. It's actually pretty. It's not long, but there's a lot of details. So I'm gonna try and just get going.
Just
All right. 9 years ago.
You're off to a bad start.
Why? It was 9 years ago.
9 years ago. Pause for 10 seconds.
Well, you were talking, so I didn't know. I wanted to give you time to speak your mind. 9 years ago, cut to little child Sanji, who, by the way, since we're here, is 10 in this, which means he's 19 in current day. Same age as Zoro, Luffy, Usopp, 17, Nami, 18. Just keeping track of all the ages here. I looked it up. I got it. Sanji's a little shit. He's a little ungrateful piece of crap, all right? He's hanging out with all these cooks on a ship. He's an apprentice cook, and they're all eating off dirty plates and not letting any food go to waste. And Sanji says, "What are you doing? That stuff looks disgusting. I throw out food just because it looks bad." And they're like, "Sanji, you can't do that. You gotta eat the food." Yes, exactly. You can't let food go to waste, Sanji, but he's just a child, an ungrateful little child. So anyway, Sanji starts talking about his dream to go to the All Blue. Do you know what the All Blue is? Do they explain it?
They do. Yes, they do explain the All Blue.
Can you quick explain?
Yes. So in the world of One Piece, every sea has its own unique bioculture, like, unique fish and shit. The All Blue is this mystical land, mystical sea place where all the fish of all the seas exist in one spot. And so it's a cook's dream because they can prepare any type of fish.
That's it. That's the All Blue. It's where all the seas connect and all the fish just apparently flow in there. They love it, man. They absolutely love it. So Sanji wants to cook up.
If you prepare food, you love this place.
Who wouldn't? What cook wouldn't? It's a cook. Mamma mia! It's you can cook a buffet of all the different kinds of fish. Who knows? So Sanji wants to get to the All Blue, and all the cooks kind of laugh, and they're like, "You'll never get to the All Blue. It doesn't exist." Blah blah blah. Things like that. Anyway, pirates attack.
They do.
Yes, they do. And who should attack? None other than Red Leg Zeph. In the flesh, younger, 9 years younger, bolder, just back from the Grand Line, which he spent a year out on. He's back and he says, "Give me all your gold. Give me all your stuff. But don't give me your food because that's yours and I'm a humble man," or something like that.
Wait, does he really say that?
No, but it's something like that. The point I'm trying to make is he was like very, they made a point that Zeph was like, don't take their food. Take anything you want, but don't take their food. Leave the food for them. Don't let them starve or whatever. I don't know. It was like, that was just a point they made. And so Sanji is like, "I ain't gonna go down here. I'm gonna fight these pirates. I'm gonna murder them all before they can murder me." And so he goes at him with a knife and quickly loses, gets the crap beat out of him. Zeph had no problems whatsoever. And Sanji's like, "I can't die here. I need to get to the All Blue." And then all the pirates start laughing at him because the All Blue doesn't exist or whatever. Anyway, a storm whips up, flings Sanji off the edge of the ship, and Zeph is like, "He's gonna die. I gotta save him." And so the random pirate that just showed up dives into the ocean after random child who he'd never met, and they wash up on this giant plateau in the middle of the ocean, and the sun's bearing down on them, and they're dying and having a miserable time. Anyway, some food luckily washed up with them. And so Zeph sets it up. He gives a big bag to him, small bag to Sanji, says, "Sanji, you're a child, you don't eat as much as me, so you take the little bag of food. Go over there, look for ships, and shut up." And so Sanji goes to the other side of the island, and Zeph, they're facing two different directions so they can see all the ships, right? And so Sanji's like, "I got enough if I were to eat normally for 5 days of food. But I won't eat normally, I'll ration it so it lasts a little bit longer. Cut to day 25. Sanji has run out of food completely. He's eating the last piece of moldy bread. Day 25, they've been stuck on this plateau, dying. Cut to Zeph, who is like, I don't want to die here. And then he takes a rock and starts chopping at his foot. Just starts smashing his foot repeatedly with a rock. Why do you look so concerned?
That did not happen in the show.
That 100% happened in the show.
No, it didn't.
Did it happen, but not like that?
He did not smash his foot with a rock.
It had to have happened. And we'll get into it. He smashes his foot repeatedly and blood sprays everywhere. And you're like, why is he doing this? And then it switches back to Sanji and you never find out. Day 50, it rains. So they get a little bit of water. You know, he's been 25 days without food, but hey, you get a little bit of water. Day 70, they're like skin and bones at this point. Sanji's looking real bad. He's dying. He's having a hard time. He's out of food. He's thirsty. And he's going a little bit stir crazy, you know. He's like, I'm going to go over and I'm going to see how much food, if Zeph has any food left. He goes over there and sees the huge bag of food, untouched, unopened. And somehow Sanji got a knife. I don't know how, but he had a knife. And he goes up to Zeph and he says, give me that food or I'm going to kill you. And Zeph says, go ahead, take the food. And so Sanji cuts open the bag, and what comes out but a whole bunch of treasure, a whole bunch of gold and money, and no food in sight. And he turns to Zeph and he says, you haven't had any food this whole time? And Zeph says, no, I had to cut off my own foot and eat it. And so Sanji says, why'd you do that? You're Red Shoes Zeph. I'm just a child who tried to kill you. And he turns to Sanji and he says, because your dream is to get to the All Blue. And then they all cry. And then another 15 days go by, and it's been 85 days on the plateau, and a ship finally shows up, and they're saved. And then cut back to Sanji in current day, and he says, and that's why I gotta protect Zeph in this boat, because he protected me, or some, I don't know, fucking something like that. The end.
Zeph did not eat his foot in the show.
Dig is saying that's true. Wow, Dig has said a lot. Hold on, where did I see that? Oh no, he didn't. He has not said a lot. It didn't happen in it only happened in the manga. But I'm so Zeph, what happened to his foot in the anime?
So after Kid Sanji falls into the water, Zeph dives in after him to save him. On his way down, his foot gets caught in a bunch of like wreckage, and knowing that he's like underwater, he doesn't have much breath, and like there's a kid drowning below me that I need to go get. He grabs a chain, wraps it around his leg, and waits for the tension to snap his like leg in half so he can dive down, grab Sanji, and then wait to get washed up onto someplace. So by the time they're on the plateau in the show, he does not have a foot. He's just like hiding it because he's just slouched over, looking over the cliff. He's like, take this, go over there.
So it gets revealed at the same time, probably.
It gets revealed. Yeah, it gets revealed at the end. And Sanji's like, you must have lost this when you saved me. You sacrificed your leg to make sure I lived. I'm your indentured servant for life.
Well, I'll be honest. The manga did it way better. It was way cooler. Look at this. Look at this shit. There he is.
Jesus Christ, I hate that. Take that away.
Smashes it. So he just like didn't eat in the anime? He just didn't eat that whole time?
He did not.
See, the foot makes way more sense when it's like he had to eat it to survive. Because you can't go 85 days without eating anything.
You also can't survive 2 massive shields smashing your head into a pancake.
Yeah, but
fuck that, right?
I mean, I'm just saying, at least the manga took that into account. I like telling these stories from my perspective because of that. Because shit happens that you're like, wait, what? So that's entertaining. Yeah. So that's how it happened in the manga. Cool. I have some questions here for you. Just overall thoughts. I mean, overall thoughts of Sanji's backstory.
I mean, I wasn't that too emotionally invested. Like to this point, like Sanji kind of just exists. I'm not like, oh, Sanji's so cool, I want him on the crew. It's just sort of like, oh, there's Sanji. Like I don't care. uh,
But
I
then,
also think the concept of like, when Redfoot Zeph arrives and Sanji's a kid, like, how every pirate seems to have a theme so far. There's like the woman pirate. There's the cat pirates. I don't know. I'm not intimidated by the cook pirates.
you should be.
I'm not. I think it sounds dumb.
Is that the name of them? Cook pirates?
They're the cook pirates. That's how they're referred to, at least by some of the chefs there.
That's
also,
fair.
Sanji says,
pirate cooks is what
Yeah.
they're called.
like, for real, like, can't you just be a badass pirate? And oh, by the way, I know how to cook. That's a cool character trait I have. Anyway, when Sanji realizes that his foot's missing, he's like, "Oh, you can't be a pirate anymore." And like, you don't need two legs to be a pirate. It's very like ingrained into our like cultural memory, like pirates with the peg leg,
Well, yeah, but I think the reason why he says that is because his name's Red Shoes Zeph. I assume he fights with his feet like Sanji does.
He does, but you still have hands.
Yeah, but like,
You still
okay,
have your thumbs.
so if you spend your entire life practicing how to do kicks and then you have to switch to your hands, you're not going to be nearly as strong.
Punch. You don't forget how to hold a gun.
Yeah, but it's different. It's not real life. This is an anime. This dude has trained his whole life to have super strong kicks so that he can contend with the super strong pirates on the Grand Line. Now he's lost, essentially, his superpower. He can't just make his punches now as strong as his kicks.
He can't have a superpower anymore. He can still be a pirate.
Oh, I think the point was he wouldn't survive on the Grand Line. I think that's more because he wanted to see All Blue, which is on the Grand Line, and it was basically more or less you're not strong enough to go on the Grand Line anymore.
Well, then that's what he should have said. Like, oh, you're missing your foot. You'll never accomplish your dream. Maybe you probably still could, but like whatever. It's an anime.
I mean, the point was he gave up like his most prized possession for Sanji.
Yeah, and that's why Sanji's like, I'm your indentured servant now.
Sure, that's one way of putting it.
Also, in the last arc, Luffy got really pissed at Kuro when he found out that Kuro wanted to put his life of piracy behind him. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't share the same angry temperament to Zeph when he learns that Zeph wants to put his life of piracy behind him and pursue being a chef.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, well, yeah. I told you I hate Luffy in this arc, so I'm not even gonna... just another plot hole, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point that I didn't even think about. That's a solid point.
Yeah, Luffy is just he doesn't even. I don't think he even says a line there. Like when he learns that Zeph doesn't want to be a pirate anymore, or like he used to be a pirate but then he gave up. Like I was expecting Luffy to be like, a pirate never gives up being a pirate.
Yeah. What is that?
Something like that. That's something Luffy does.
Oh, where he stretches his... Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's true.
But he didn't. Yeah. And I mean, on the one hand, any line that Luffy doesn't say is a line I appreciate more because of that. But then, on the other hand, like, that's something that would have remained consistent with the character, and we all know that consistency is, so far, not Luffy's strong point.
Not in this arc. The other arcs were inconsistent. God damn it.
That's all I got for Sanji backstory.
Okay. Did the backstory make you like either of the characters more?
Zeph and Sanji?
Yeah. Or did it make you like them less? You're indifferent. It didn't do anything.
I am indifferent to marginally more. Because we've already seen Sanji like go out of his way to make sure that like Jin wasn't starving or that he was taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And we could have chopped that up to, him being a devout chef, like that's my career is my philosophy type trope thing.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like he's been through exactly what this other characters have been through, and I'm gonna do something about it because not only like is it my job, it's like like a doctor's Hippocratic oath, it's the chef's Hippocratic oath to feed a starving man.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, but I like we need to show that as a character I'm empathetic.
Okay.
And noble, I guess. So yeah,
So more, but
if the scale was from like -10 to 10, and I was on a 0 going into the backstory, I'm probably at a 1 or 2 now, maybe a 3.
That's fair. All right, I that's fine. I think the backstory's fun, but yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
it's
like.
fun. It was fun.
It was fun, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and defend it and say it was like a work of art.
Right.
But it was good. It was fun. I liked the twist of him not having any food. I liked it more when he had to eat his foot because it made a little more sense. But I did like that twist. That one I was like, oh, that's cool. I like twists. All right, we're on to Krieg 3. So we're back in the modern age, right?
Yes.
We're back in the modern age. Sanji has declared why he will protect Zeph. Luffy comes up with his own cunning plan. Luffy says, I'm going to destroy the ship. Because if I destroy the ship, then Krieg doesn't have a prize, so might as well just destroy the ship. To which Sanji says, hell no, I will die before you destroy this ship. To which Luffy replies, how you gonna repay the old man if you're dead? And Sanji doesn't quite know how to respond to that one. Cut to Jin, who is no longer holding... What?
Really quick, if Luffy destroys the ship, then nobody has a way to exit this situation.
We'll get into it. I promise.
All right, go on.
Cut to Jin, who is no longer holding a gun to Zeph's head, but is instead smashing Invincible Pearl with his twirly doos. So I'm gonna. I don't know what the hell kind of weapon he uses. It's like a mace, kinda. Do you know what it is?
Nah, they're cool though.
They're cool. They are. They're pretty badass. He like flips them around. I'm gonna call them twirly doodles. So he hits Invincible Pearl with the twirly doodles, which smashes Invincible Pearl, which is his crewmate, by the way. Invincible Pearl's second in command, Jin is the first mate. I'm pretty sure Jin's the first mate. And I think Invincible Pearl is like the second mate, whatever that would be, right? To Krieg. Krieg's like, why are you attacking your own people, Jin? I don't much like that. And Jin's like, it's because I want to kill Sanji. I don't want to let this guy kill Sanji, so I'm going to kill him instead.
So obviously, the proper course of action is to kill my crewmate so I can do it.
Exactly.
Not just like, yo, hold on, I got this.
Yeah, no, he smashed him. There might have been more, but regardless, he smashed him open. Invincible Pearl's out of the fight. Krieg says, I don't much like that. I'm going to shoot a poisonous bomb at all of you. And so then they're all freaking out because they're like, well, we're going to die from the poison. And so Krieg fires off a poisonous bomb. Luffy goes to kick the poisonous bomb back, but it turns out it was a fluke. He duped them all. The poisonous bomb wasn't a poisonous bomb at all. It explodes into shurikens, which just start stabbing into Luffy everywhere. And he says, ha ha ha, I wouldn't waste a poison bomb on you idiots. I can kill you without it. And so they're all relieved that it's not a poisonous bomb, but Luffy did get stabbed with a bunch of shurikens. Anyway, Sanji and Jin start fighting. They start beating the crap out of each other. Meanwhile, all hell's breaking loose. Luffy is like, I don't like you much, Krieg, and they start fighting. So we got two fights going on hand in hand. Krieg starts firing wooden stakes at Luffy. Luffy's dodging these wooden stakes because they're pointy. They'll stab right through his rubber, you know? He can't deflect those wooden stakes back.
Nope.
Jin ends up beating Sanji. Jin actually wins the fight. And, I mean, mind you, Sanji just fought Invincible Pearl and got his head smashed in, so he was pretty weak. But Jin ends up winning the fight and has Sanji on the ground, and Krieg's like, kill Sanji now. And Jin says, I can't do it. He says, I can't do it, Krieg. He saved me. He saved my life. I can't kill him. I cannot do it. I simply cannot do it. To which Krieg says, I don't much like that, and fires a poison bomb at them. For real this time. And he tells Jin to drop his gas mask, because I guess Krieg uses poison so much they all just have gas masks on him. Jin throws his gas mask at Luffy, because the poison bomb's going to hit Luffy, it's going to hit Sanji, and it's going to hit Jin. And then he, like, closes Sanji's mouth with his hands and covers his face so he can't breathe it in. And then Jin breathes in the poison and starts spitting up blood, and he's dying from the poison. I don't quite know how the semantics of him closing Sanji's mouth would work. But Sanji's fine. Luffy's fine because he had a gas mask. Jin is dying. That, in turn, pisses Luffy off a little bit. Or something, I don't know. The moral of the story is Luffy starts fighting Krieg for real this time. Krieg starts firing wooden stakes at him still, and Luffy's like, you know what, I just don't give a fuck, and just starts running through the wooden stakes. So he's getting stabbed with wooden stakes. Krieg's like, that's pretty cool, but also, you still can't beat me. So, Luffy starts winding up a punch. One of his Gomu Gomu no pistol or bullet or some shit. Krieg.
Gomu some shit.
Gomu Gomu no some shit. Krieg takes a cape and twirls it around him, and it's a spiky cape. It's a spiky cape of metal with spikes jabbing out of it, and he says, you can't punch me when I'm covered in spikes. And Luffy says, the fuck I can't, and then punches him anyway, straight through the spikes, doesn't give a shit, right in the face. Krieg goes down, Luffy's ecstatic, but Krieg's not done yet, and shield punches Luffy or some shit, and Luffy's like, oh, that really hurts. Luffy gets pissed, retaliates again. I'm trying to remember. That's where I'm at. I'm trying to remember. This was a long one. Luffy retaliates again, beats the crap out of Krieg. Krieg comes back with a lance that can explode. But Luffy doesn't know it can explode. So he starts stabbing at Luffy with the lance. Luffy's like, ho, ha, he's dodging left and right. But then Krieg makes the lance blow up. Luffy falls to the ground crispy. And like his mouth is smoking, and everybody's like, oh no, Luffy. Luffy doesn't care. He gets back up anyway. He gives Krieg one last final punch into the ship, and Krieg goes down. Blood sprays out of his mouth. Luffy's the victor, but he's not really. Krieg lands him. He gets a net around Luffy, and he says, I'm just gonna throw you into the ocean because you are a rubber man and you will die. And Luffy says, I don't much want that to happen. And he grabs onto the net and then like twists the top half of his body, but the bottom half remains, so he's like a corkscrew, kind of. He's getting real twisty in the middle, right? And so he twists it all around, and then eventually, I think how it works, it's hard to tell in the manga. The net is still connected to Krieg's hand, right? Yeah. And so eventually he twists so much that it starts twisting into Krieg's hand, and then Krieg starts twisting, and then Luffy's like, take this, bitch. And then Krieg flies in the air like a million times like a tornado, Gomu Gomu tornado, and then smashes it back into the ship. Luffy's the winner. Luffy's the victor. Krieg's down for the count. The end of Krieg 3.
Yeah.
Am I saving time doing this?
I don't know.
It was a lot shorter in my head.
We'll see.
I guess we will.
All right.
Yeah, so Jesus. Okay, so let's just
I'll just start going. Okay. Wait, do you have any questions?
Nope. I didn't write any down for this one because I was in a hurry. So
I'll kind of just go through my notes. Okay. There's not a whole lot. We'll touch on the topics that we need to touch on.
Okay.
So Luffy's plan: destroy the ship so Krieg doesn't have a prize.
Yep.
Then what? then Krieg's going to be pissed and kill everyone.
Yes.
Or you guys will kill Krieg, and we're still left with no one being able to exit the situation.
It's an idiotic plan. It's an idiotic plan for who. So in that regard, it makes sense because Luffy's an idiot. But but at the same time, it's almost too smart. It's like, it's dumb, but it's also like more thought than Luffy usually puts into anything. He's like, this is like a counter. That's what Luffy's doing. He's countering, right? He's saying, and Luffy's also a rubber man, so as soon as the ships get destroyed, he's just gonna drown out there. So it makes even less sense. But so it's like he's putting thought into it. He's like, I just will destroy the ship because then he won't have a prize. But he knows the ship is Sanji's treasure. So it would be like him ripping up his own hat. And he knows this, and now twice now, Luffy has given 2 fucks about Sanji and what he cares about. And it was very not, it wasn't, I didn't like it. It wasn't Luffy. It was a stupid plan, and
yeah.
Ugh. Yeah.
Next area of complaint, when Jin brings out his weapons, that begins like this whole monologue from the pirates floating in the water. It's like, oh, when Jin brings out his weapons, that means he's serious. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, that was a pointless like line of dialogue. The situation's already serious.
I'm just trying to show that he's a strong boy when he brings out the weapons.
Thank God for the floating sailors and pirates narrating this entire sequence of events. Whenever something happens, they're just like, oh, Luffy fell down. Oh, he punched Krieg. Ooh, he's so serious now that he brought up his weapons. Whenever he brings out his weapons, that means he's in business. Like, shut up, guys. I can see all this happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't get better. I feel like that's just an anime thing. I don't know why they do it.
I think it is.
They like to just describe what's happening, even though you can just see what's happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I want to bring up Luffy's plot armor because when he's initially charging Krieg, you've mentioned it before, he gets hit with all like the wooden stakes and all these other shit. Mm-hmm. At some point, before he gets really into the fight, he lands on a piece of driftwood, mm-hmm. and his knees buckle up from under him. And there's like this 15-second conversation between Sanji and Zaf, about how he's losing blood, like he's getting weaker and weaker, like his constitution won't maintain long enough to see out this fight. Luffy? And it's like, Luffy, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh no, like things that are happening to him are about to have consequences. Mm-hmm. And then immediately cut to the fight. He has energy back in his knees again. Like, he's not affected at all by his blood loss. He gets the sword in the show. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just explode whenever he wants it to. Whenever he hits, it explodes. And there's not like a moment where it explodes and Luffy avoids it. He's just constantly getting blown up. He gets blown up like 5 times.
He might get blown. I only save certain panels, like just to get the general premise. So he might get blown up a whole bunch of times.
So it just annoyed me how they like went out of their way to point out like that Luffy is about to have a hard time with this. Uh-huh. And like his injuries are going to affect the battle, but they never do. Every time he gets blown up, he gets all charred and blackface, and then just gets up and runs back at him again. It's like that's never like an issue that happens.
Yeah, that's fair. He's got willpower. That's all you need in the face of an adversary.
Obviously, that's all you need.
That's all you need, no matter what. So here he is just... it doesn't look like it's hitting anything when it's exploding here. So I don't know. But...
Yeah. Next point, when he releases the gas bomb. So he tells Jin to throw his mask away. And Sanji does just that. He takes off the mask and throws it into the water.
Jin does.
Yeah. And so he shoots the grenade. And Luffy's like freaking out. Like it gets into this weird animation where his head's like 3 times the size of his body, and he's like, "What do I do?"
Like
And
this
he,
kinda, you threw the mask at me.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. His head isn't quite that big, but I know what you're talking about.
But it's terrifying. He looks like
big
that
mouth.
Momo meme.
Yeah, kinda.
But anyway, so Jin had thrown the mask into the water. He doesn't give it to Sanji or Luffy or whoever. It's gone. So what Luffy does is he sees 2 pirates who have their mask on, and he stretches his arms out, grabs those 2 masks, and throws them at Jin and Sanji. And then that's where like the episode cuts, and we don't know like how Luffy finds a mask for himself. And so the next episode starts. Luffy has a mask on because Jin had put the mask on him, and so Jin is suffocating while Luffy and Sanji have a mask.
Oh, okay.
But I just wanted to point out, Luffy potentially just straight up murdered these other 2 people that are just floating in the water.
You think he fucking cares? That's a pirate ass thing to do right there.
The only pirate thing he's done so far.
He said, I care more about them than those 2 guys, so fuck those guys.
I thought it was funny.
I sort of like that better, actually, than Jin covering Sanji's face.
With his own mask?
No. In the manga, Jin just literally just covers his face with his hands.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And is like, don't breathe. And it's like, I don't know if that would work that well. I feel like you could just hold your breath then.
Yeah.
So
also, like, after Jin gets the brunt force of like all the gas, like he's alive, he makes it, and I feel like the reason he does is because he's immediately given the medical treatment of just put the mask on him now.
Is that what happened in the?
That's what happens. He's like, he's suffocating. Put the mask on; it'll detox him.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah. Like,
I think he's just a baller and survives it in the manga, but I couldn't be sure.
No, obviously these cooks are doctors as well. They know what they're doing.
Just put the mask on and detox. Is that real? Is that how that works?
That's what happens in the show. No,
I doubt
in
real life. That's not how that works. You can't put the mask on after being poisoned.
No.
Just wanted to make sure, you know.
Yeah. No, that was just stupid. And then, those are my notes for everything up to the final episode of the arc.
Okay, so here's a panel that I have yet another sort of issue with. I feel like I'm being a little too nitpicky on Luffy here. But here's a panel of him saying, I won't die, which is fair. Like, he's confident, he's strong. But I feel like up until now, they've kind of portrayed Luffy as not giving a crap whether he dies or not. So giving him this dialogue like he cares now is just
he's always been like, whether I die or not,
it's about the adventure, kind of I would rather. I think one of the things he said early on when talking to Kobe or something was like, I would rather die doing what I want or like what I love than not like so.
Right.
I don't know. It's a very, very nitpicky of me, but it just feels like not necessarily a Luffy line. I don't know. And in the context of it all, like, I don't know. I don't love it. Anyway, it's pretty badass. That's when he starts running through the spikes. This is where he gets the nice, cool punch off. That was a pretty cool moment. He didn't give 2 shits about the spikies. That kid is crazy. Watch him closely. This is probably when they're talking about. Oh yeah, look at it. They're talking about
the blind determination speech.
And then here they're saying he's poisoned. He's been poisoned once today. Don't die, demon guy. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, that's Patty and Carne.
Yeah. So, I mean, we went over all this already. There's the spinny where they get tornado. Yep. Krieg's freaking the hell out. And here we are. Why did I... Oh, yeah, I just wanted... I think the only reason I had this one on here... Yeah, I like these panels, but... Oh, yeah, this is the part. Oda-sensei, since Luffy is a rubber man, do all of his body parts stretch? Yes. Everything stretches. So... Keep that in mind. That is canon.
Great.
Yeah, so there's some,
Great.
something to think about if you're lonely at night.
I don't want to think about this. Do you think he ever stretches his toes for fun?
Probably. I wonder what it feels like to be young again.
Nah, indeed.
Also, I love that Oda, all the measurements he gives are always just worthless. Like, remember how that one, he said he can stretch like 100 gums?
Yeah.
This one, he says Sanji's kick is worth 21 bats. Wooden bats. A wooden bat's worth of energy. So he can kick 21 bats.
Because they're all, like, the same.
What are?
Like a bat strikes.
Yeah. But I assume it's like 21 if it stacked.
But I mean, like, my bat strike is equal to your bat strike.
Is it?
No, we have different strengths. So
exactly.
Like,
so he can do 21
nothing.
bats. I might be able to do 5 bats, and you can only do 3 bats. 21
I guess
bats.
your point stands. That makes no sense.
It's yeah, that was the whole point. I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. It's not supposed to make any sense. But that's how he always does it. He had one of, like, Buggy, a question from Buggy. And he was like, Buggy can actually only, like, disconnect his body to, like, a certain length. So there's, like, a area of effect on that. And then they'll come back to him. And the area of effect was, like, 13 chops. Or some stupid shit like that. Okay. Every time I read them, I'm just like, why do I read this shit? It's because of this. It's because we find out Luffy's penis can stretch. That's why. Which leads us into the post-Krieg arc. Oh yeah, fun fact. Buggy's power works on every part of his body. I believe that was also mentioned in the Oda panel. So there's another one for you.
Good. All right. That answers questions that's been sitting, so.
So I didn't really go over the post-Krieg arc much.
Yeah, there's not really much to go over because it's really just setting up for the next arc.
Pretty much. So I'll just give a quick rundown of what I remember. It'll be real quick. You have Jin coming out, and he's like, I'm gonna stay on the Krieg pirates, and he's got like Krieg on his shoulder, and he's like, I know I've done wrong or whatever, but we'll do better. I don't know. He's gone. Yeah. He leaves with Krieg on his shoulder, essentially. Yep. Luffy asks Sanji.
Luffy's asleep, and Jin's like, when he wakes up, tell him I'll see him on the Grand Line.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
So, you think they'll come back? You think you'll see Jin again?
I hope not.
You hope not.
Because as he's leaving, he's like, I may only be... Like, I got gassed pretty hard. I'll probably only be alive for a couple more hours, but...
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
If he lives, I'll be a little disappointed.
I'll have panels. I do have panels from it. So, he might not have said it in the manga though.
Oh, that's disappointing.
So I don't know. Regardless, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
Luffy once again asks Sanji to join his crew. Sanji says no. See, this is what I'm talking about. Remember last week I said they always say crap until the crap geezer acknowledges me.
That's weird.
It's really weird. It gets weirder when he's like leaving. He calls them all crap. It's really strange. Anyway, he declines, and then all the chefs pretend to hate Sanji and say his food sucks and that he should leave because he's not a good cook. He doesn't belong here. And they're just
Sanji gets sad and it's like
he gets super pissed. And then he sits outside the door and Zeph punches him in the face, calls him a sassy pup. And then Sanji hears him outside just saying like they want him to go with Luffy because he needs to follow his dreams. Yeah. And he won't find him here. And so that's why they're being mean so that he leaves.
Yep.
So once Sanji hears that, I'm not going to get into more of why I hate this from Luffy, but that's fine. All of a sudden, they're telling him to take Sanji with him, and Luffy's like, no, he needs to make up that decision on his own. And it's like, that just...
Anytime he'd be like,
I say... Need I say more? It's just, I don't know. Luffy's just giving up on what he wants. That's not Luffy. That's not Luffy at all. I get the sentiment. It's a good sentiment. It's just not a Luffy sentiment.
Right.
Anyway, Sanji does finally agree to go. For whatever reason, there's one of the swordsmen, I can't remember his name, comes back in a panda shirt.
Johnny or something. Well, Johnny was one of them.
Johnny was the other one. I don't remember this guy's name. Anyway, he's basically like, I guess he just came. The only reason he's here is to tell Luffy where to go to get Nami. That's it. Yeah. That's the only reason he's here, because he's like, they're going to this island. Whatever. Right? And so then Sanji says, I'll go with you. And then they essentially head off to go after Nami. And Sanji reminisces about his... Yeah, see, look it. Stop calling me baby eggplant, crap geezer. Sorry, crap baby eggplant.
That's so weird.
Is this help wanted crap cook's welcome for real? This was the origin story of the two... What's that?
Patty and Carne.
Patty and Carne, yeah. I know it's a translation thing, but it's just very, very, very weird.
It is very weird.
And that they didn't do it in the anime only makes it kind of weirder. I don't know. Whatever. You're probably better off. They try to beat the crap out of Sanji, and Sanji beats the crap out of them just for funsies because they're just having a good time. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Sanji, says he's really sad. Sanji's sad. Yep. He says goodbye. He said he owes Zeph his life and that he won't disappoint him and he'll never forget you. Goodbye, you crap guys. That's Sanji's goodbye.
It really takes you out of the moment.
It really does. I was like, what the hell? So whatever. I'm glad they don't call each other that on the crew. Oh yeah, and that's a fun one. To finish it all off, these were the results of the popularity poll of people's favorite characters. Damn it, I was going to tell you to guess. It's too late. You already saw it. It's fine. Luffy's number 1, Zoro's number 2, Shanks is number 3, Sanji's number 4, Nami's number 5, Ben Beckham 6, Buggy, Usopp, Captain Kuro, and Kuina. What do you think about these?
I mean, you know what I think. I think they're wrong.
So, yeah, you, on your...
Luffy wouldn't even be on the top 10.
Luffy wouldn't even... Yeah, Luffy is the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. Down there with Buggy.
Buggy
Who's Ben Beckham?
Ben Beckman. That's Shanks' first mate.
All right.
He's
Why
the one who
is he on there?
I guess people like it. Is kind of weird that he's there. Like, you'd think Buggy would beat him just because Buggy had like such a more important role.
Yeah.
All Ben Beckman did was beat the crap out of the mountain bandits with the back of his gun. That's all he's done. But people, I guess they think he looks cool. And people like Shanks, so they're like, I like Shanks' first mate, too. But yeah. And then Kuina, I find that to be really weird that she's number 2.
All these small characters, Kuina, Beckman,
oh, look it. We can go all the way to 35th.
Who's
35th was captain of the naval base, which I'm pretty sure is Axar Morgan. Why they didn't say that, I don't know. 33rd was Pig Lion. What the hell? Hey, 21st place was the Going Merry, the ship.
The ship. All right.
I don't even know who half these people are.
No,
32nd place was just Panda. Is that Panda Man?
Could be Panda Man.
Could be Panda Man. Why is it just called Panda then?
Is it time for fan questions?
It is time. Questions? It is time for viewer questions. Let me make sure. I forgot to actually ask for viewer questions this week. I'm sorry, everybody. I was in a tizzy. But I do have some big Diggs questions. Dig, I might not answer all of these. I remember some of them feeling almost spoiler territory where I don't want to go, but let me read through them. Oh, he's actually updated from this episode. So he has gone through an editor. So that's good. These are as topical as it gets right here. You compared never mind. I don't.
What?
Nah, I'm not going to say that one. I don't want to say that one. All right. How do you think Sanji's fighting style is reflected in his design? Wait, did I already ask that one? No, I don't think so.
I don't think it is. He's just in like a tuxedo. Like he's dressed like a He's just dressed nice. I don't think that I haven't seen anything reflected in his fighting style that kind of draws any connections to his well-dressed demeanor. I don't know. Maybe there's something there with like, oh, I'm very proper. I don't use my hands, and like, oh, I'm very proper. I dress really nice. If there's anything there,
Oh crap! Can you see these?
I can. If
Oh
there's
god!
anything, if there's anything there, I haven't picked up on it, so maybe I'm just an idiot. But um, this is kind of like a reoccurring question with different like characters, though. So like we had the same question with Captain Kuro. I think something along those lines.
It's reflected in his design. Maybe that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
assume there's something there. I'm not sure what.
If there's something there, I'm too stupid to pick up on it.
I don't know either. I mean, I think what you said. He's like proper. He's a proper gent.
He's a proper gent.
And so that's
doesn't
why
use his hands.
Doesn't
muddy his hands with all this fighting nonsense.
I will say, just because we're talking about design, one of the things I was going to bring up in the Zoro versus Mihawk fight that is interesting, a comparison that I have seen be made, is that Mihawk is very Christian. Remember he has all the crosses.
Christianity themes, yep.
And Zoro, even though it's not super recognizable, is very Buddhist.
I don't know any Buddhist symbolism, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, well, I don't know either. It was just something I read. So people thought it was an interesting clash of, like, religions.
That's pretty cool.
Like that. I thought so. Just a little fun fact more than anything.
Yeah.
Did you... How many of these did you read?
None of them.
Oh, you didn't actually see any of them?
No, I didn't look.
Okay, cool. I think... This is a fun one just because it's kind of... I usually read these beforehand, so I apologize, guys. Okay. I don't know. I forgot to ask for fan questions, and I like these questions, Dig. I just want to make them a little less on the nose. Because they're not really... It's coming from a perspective, to me, where... Because, I mean, Dig's a One Piece expert. He loves One Piece. And so the questions kind of almost reflect what I feel is spoilery. Okay. Like, he's saying them in a way that, like... It's just kind of comes off as...
If you were to emulate one of these questions for a different franchise, let's say SpongeBob, how would you emulate a question?
Wait, are you talking to me?
Yeah, you. Because I want to know, like, how are these questions spoilery?
SpongeBob? I don't...
That's the first show I saw.
Does SpongeBob have connecting plot threads at all to do this too? I am saving the Morganeer one. It's a good question. Don't worry. It's a good question that I want to... It feels more of a discussion to me. The Morganeer one's fine. It's more of a fun fact. I had kind of a bigger piece for it, but I don't think we'll ever hit it. So, in the original pilot of One Piece, which was called Romance Dawn, it was like it's basically a pilot for a manga. I forget what it's actually called. Luffy talks about two different types of pirates, Morganeers and Peace Mains. Morganeers are more your classic rape, pillage, and plunder, and Peace Mains are, instead of robbing civilians, they survive by essentially capitalizing on the Morganeers and like collecting their bounties, as well as since Morganeers are terrible people, they don't give a crap if they kill them or take whatever. And so Peace Mains essentially go around fighting the Morganeers to protect the people, but they're very ruthless, like vigilante-like almost, against the Morganeers. And so Luffy describes himself as a Peace Main, which is the guy who goes around fighting a bunch of bad pirates. And so that was in the. It's never mentioned in this. It was only mentioned in the pilot. Even in the manga of One Piece, it's never ever mentioned. But it kind of gives you a look into what Oda is thinking when he is creating Luffy as a pirate and the differences between certain pirates. And so it's just a kind of an interesting little perspective there.
That's a neat little fun fact, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, so you're always complaining about how Luffy isn't a pirate, but
That's because he isn't one.
But
he's a Peace Main.
he's a Peace Main pirate. Technically, they're still pirates. But,
okay.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, Oda had a, he
thought of it.
He thought of it. He addressed it. So I can see why he got rid of it, though. I
me too.
I like it better without it. I do. Even though Luffy, yes, isn't super piratey, I'm glad that... Because in this, it feels like Peace Mains are just going around fighting a bunch of strong pirates. That's not Luffy's goal. Luffy's goal isn't to just go around and fight a bunch of strong pirates. And I think if that was his goal, it would be a lot more bland. I know that you kind of complain about the One Piece and the Grand Line and all that, but at least there is kind of an end goal, I guess. It feels very...
I also don't like it when animes fall into that trope of, like, classifying things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know exactly. Well, maybe.
Like, oh, I'm a grass-type Pokemon trainer. Like, I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Mihawk. Dig at this point has...
What's his full name? Like, Duncan. Mihawk?
And Dracule.
Dunkin'
Donuts Mihawk. That's what they call me. I mean, I guess if Dig put it, it's probably been reviewed. It's not really a spoiler anyway, so it's fine. So Mihawk is classified as one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Was that ever mentioned?
You brought this up.
I don't think I brought it up. I feel like I didn't bring this up. Because I've been, like, just sitting on it. Because I know it gets revealed at some point, and I couldn't remember if it gets revealed here. It's good for context regardless, and it's not really a spoiler. Because he is classified as one of the 7 warlords of the sea that reside within the Grand Line. And so, what do you think about that? It's kind of like a world-building thing. So he's one of, apparently, for as strong as he is, apparently there's 6 others that are on the same level as him. Do you think we'll encounter any of them on the Grand Line?
No.
You don't think we'll...
Episodes we better.
What?
In 900 episodes, we better.
Do you think we'll encounter all 7 of them?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm getting the impression that for the sake of content, the author is just bringing shit up so that he has something to go back to when he needs content. You know, I think it's going to be one of those types of things.
So you think it's going to be it's going to feel almost filler-esque?
Yeah.
Where it's there's not really much going on here.
Yeah, technically it's world building. Technically it's probably going to fit into the main story of Luffy getting from point A to point B. But, like, it didn't need to exist.
Okay.
I mean, okay, now I've come up with this idea of the 7 warlords. If I ever need to fill 70 episodes, I can make 10-episode arcs for each one.
That's fair. So you think that's where it's going?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that obviously he wouldn't have named 7 if you weren't going to learn who the other 6 were at some point or another.
Exactly. Like,
right.
This isn't a world that's striking me. I know you're not a Tolkien fan, but J.R.R. Tolkien deliberately left elements of his world, mysteries, like just unknown without explanation. He wrote volumes and volumes of like detailed notes and explanations and backgrounds for all these other like parts of his world, but he made specific note to leave certain elements unknown because that in his mind creates a more full like. I mean, if you know everything about a world, then where's the fun in that? If there's always something more that you're like wondering about, that it makes it a little bit more rich. This isn't striking me as that kind of thing. It's like I'm going to fill in the world with all my ideas and I will address each and every one of them if I need to.
if he needs to.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but wouldn't
he's not? I don't think he's going to deliberately keep things something.
It's just like, I didn't get to that, so I guess we'll just ignore it. How do you know that didn't happen to Tolkien though?
With who?
Tolkien. What if he had plans for something and then he was like, well, I'm gonna die soon, so.
I mean, he could have. But like we have like letters that he wrote and like notes in his appendices saying like, yeah, I don't plan on like I'm keeping this a mystery.
I respect Tolkien. I by no means mean any disrespect. He's a genius, so like I think it's pretty fair to say he's a very good writer. All right. That's pretty much it. I do want to do the tier list. Once again, I didn't prepare it, and it's just going to take too long, and I want to get out of here, to be honest. It seems that we've saved about 20 minutes with me rushing through things.
We'll refine it. We'll refine your rush.
Exactly. We're gonna refine it. But what did you think of the general? What did you think of the pacing? Do you think it makes the pacing better or worse?
I like it.
Okay.
I think there's definitely refinements to be had.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I think it's a pace that we can make work, and ultimately we should always ask the audience like, did that help? Was that any better or worse? Do you like it if we just go beat by beat?
Yeah,
so let us know.
I like it more. I think for like a podcast setting too. We use the panels as a reference, but it's less reliant on the panels.
Yeah.
We talked about the panels a little bit,
for me.
But so if you're listening to it from a podcast, you know what we're talking about already, because I've already at least to some extent explained it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think refining it is all that it comes down to, because we're gonna have to refine this bitch way down. If we're gonna get through fucking 100 episode arcs, in retrospect, it's crazy that there's 100 episode arcs.
That is ridiculous.
Because, like, comparing to what we're doing now, we're on, like, episode 25 or something right now.
We just hit episode 30.
We just hit episode 30. Yeah, so we just hit episode 30 3 times. More than 3 times the length. A single arc. And a lot has happened over these things. I mean, mind you, we're building up the characters.
This angers me.
It's... I mean, don't get angry yet. What if they're very good?
How... We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see how they go. Yeah, I mean, realistically, they probably. I don't actually know. I think there's one arc that's like 100 eps, and it's got a lot of filler, and we're gonna avoid that. Well, it's got kind of a lot. It's hard to explain, but. It's not for a long time. The arcs are like that aren't coming around the corner, that's for sure. So
Okay.
We'll deal with it like years from now. Because that's how long this shit's gonna take.
Good.
So yeah, we'll do a tier list. I'd like to do it live. But I would
It takes a long time to get through the tier list.
I'm tempted to just put it on the YouTube channel. Us doing it together and throwing it up on the YouTube channel and then directing people to it that way if we want to go that way.
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a fine idea.
Yeah, I think I like that better. So, all right. Thank you everybody for watching. It's been a blast.
It has been a lot of fun.
And next week we're getting into Arlong Park, which is the last arc that you have actually seen.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get through Arlong, and then blind. You're completely blind, and you will be completely blind for until we finish it. So
I'll be going into each arc fresh.
I'm excited because I do feel like rereading and rewatching these arcs has made it a bit more of a drag for you. I think the things that you probably hated the first time around are only being exaggerated even further now that we're doing it the second time around.
Absolutely, for sure.
I am excited to just go in blind and see.
I've been watching them on like 2 times speed just to get through it.
Yeah, they're not great, and you watch them like back to back. It's not been a long time, so okay. Thanks guys. Thanks for chilling with us today. We will see you. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. New apps.
And check out YouTube for the tier list updates.
Check out YouTube for the tier list updates. Join the Discord. I throw up all the YouTube videos on there, so you'll be able to see when those get thrown up. And we're on Apple. We're on all the podcast shit. We're around. I bet you get a podcast thing. I bet we're on it. I bet we're there. Onesie Peace podcast.
And if we're not, let us know so we can get on it.
Please do, and also send a review. Also. Let's just keep going. We need to reach 100 subs. We're at 7.
Yes.
You're not doing a very good job of getting subs in here, man. I think you like the Colby border.
I hate it. And are you trying? Come on.
I'm trying. I'm pumping out content. Not really.
Thanks.
I could be trying more. All right.
We could all do a little bit more.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.